crowdfunding campaigns don't fail because of bad ideas. They fail because of avoidable mistakes. And that's exactly why in this video, I want to break down 7 of the critical mistakes that can absolutely cripple any crowdfunding campaign so that you can avoid them. And we'll also get into one major oversight that can literally sink your crowdfunding campaign before you even get started with it. My name is Salvador Briggman, and I've been working in the crowdfunding industry since 2012, and I started my company Crowdcrux to share high quality education just like this video. And maybe you have an amazing idea, you have a killer product, or you even have a nonprofit that has a worthy cause, and you could have even gone so far where you're beginning to assemble your campaign page. But deep down, you're just a little bit worried or anxious that your campaign, that your project is going to connect with the crowd. And that's why if you watch until the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some free killer crowdfunding resources that you can use to really set yourself up for success. But before we do, let's get down to the brass tacks and really get into some of these major crowdfunding mistakes so that you can avoid them with your next campaign. All right, man, so let's get into the first major mistake. And this is a very common one that I have many students reach out to me when it comes to launching their campaign. Like, Sal, my campaign didn't go the way that I wanted. And this is probably the top culprit out there, and that is weak storytelling. If you put out your crowdfunding campaign, and whether that's for a product or a nonprofit organization or whatever it is, a cause, and it really kind of reads like an academic thesis, this is not going to go according to plan. You need to have a story because you're really trying to connect with a global audience when it comes to your crowd. A story is almost a vehicle to have people not only learn about what you're doing, but more importantly, to care about it, to care about your mission, to care about the cause, to care about the product and how you've been getting it to this point when it comes to your launch. The story is so incredibly important for moving people emotionally. And that's really what gets someone to take action when it comes to a campaign. Not only do they trust you as the creator of that campaign, but they also believe in your mission and the way that their hard-earned dollars, when they back it or they donate it to it, are going to impact the world for the positive. Number 2, and this sounds a little bit counterintuitive because we think crowdfunding, we think about accessing a crowd or launching on a platform, being able to trend very well, right? We don't really think about what I'm about to mention, which is coming to that platform with an audience. And when you don't, it's one of the biggest culprits behind not only crowdfunding failure, but also you start to launch your campaign and it's like crickets. It's quiet and really no one cares about what you're doing. Launching without a crowd is one of the fastest ways to fail, and that's why I recommend building an audience or building a bit of a crowd ahead of time, not only to help you build momentum, but to add social proof to your campaign, whether you're launching on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or doing a nonprofit organization, a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, whatever form of crowdfunding, crowd building is an incredibly important element going into that campaign launch. Now, building a crowd can certainly trigger the algorithm of the campaign, but what I'm about to mention is actually one of the reasons why I have many students that will write into me on my website, crowdcrux.com. You can actually send me an email and they'll be like, Sal, I don't understand. I think I did this correctly, but for some reason, people don't seem to care. They're not backing my project. And this is one of the biggest culprits that I see out there, and that is an ineffective crowdfunding campaign video, or I'd say a not very compelling campaign video. Now, I know I'm gonna have some haters be like, Sal, but on this last podcast that you posted under the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast, there was this guest who didn't have a video and he raised 6 figures. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. And that's one of the reasons why I started my podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified, is to really just share everything that works when it comes to crowdfunding. But that being said, one of the best practices is that you gotta make sure you have a compelling pitch video going into that campaign. And if you don't, you're almost doomed to failure. And that's more important is also the first 30 seconds of that video really hooking for the viewer and making sure that they watch throughout the entire duration. So video completion rates or engagement rates are very important when it comes to your campaign. Number 4, and this actually goes back to a very early lesson that I'd love to share early in my career, and this is sort of like a major tenet of crowdfunding, and that's the fact that a confused person never buys. A confused person never backs a campaign, and if we actually explore a little bit of the science behind it, it creates what psychologists call analysis paralysis, which is that when there's lots of confusion or many options, people tend to just not make a choice. But really what I mean is having a confusing offer. So whether you have confusing reward tiers or people don't understand the offer, they don't really understand it, even if it's a nonprofit, for example, why donating money to your cause or your personal need is going to impact the world for the positive or impact you for the positive, and they can't really connect the dots, they're not gonna back it, they're not gonna donate, they're not gonna support your crowdfunding campaign. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillment is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillment today. Link in the description. The next on my list is a little bit sneaky, and that's because it kind of goes a layer deeper when it comes to the thinking behind launching a crowdfunding campaign. And this mistake can cost you really big later on. And that mistake is launching a campaign with the wrong funding goal. And be like, Sal, I don't understand because I thought the goal was about my project or about the nonprofit or about the cause. But at the end of the day, I'll let you in on a little secret. The goal is also as well about marketing. So the goal is not only going to impact the algorithm of the platform and the velocity of funding when it comes to that algorithm and ranking on the platform, but it's also going to impact the way that people see and perceive that project online. So do they feel like by giving money, it's going to have a tangible impact towards the goal? Do they feel like it's a drop in the bucket? Do they feel like it's not realistic when it comes to what you're setting out to accomplish? There's a lot of marketing psychology that goes into setting the actual funding goal. And this is one of the reasons why it's a big culprit behind failed crowdfunding campaigns. Number 6 on the list, I think we're actually gonna get a collective groan from the audience when it comes to this because it can be a little bit frustrating. And that's that if you launch a campaign without a marketing plan, it can be one of the most challenging and frustrating experiences of your entire life. It's not enough just to hit that go live button. You also need a roadmap, a plan, and ways in which you're gonna spread the word when it comes to what you're doing, whether that's through digital marketing, using social media, it could even be offline marketing. You need a way to get the word out about the project, but it goes even deeper than that because you also need to have the right campaign page and the right formatting to begin with to make sure that when people come to that page that they're going to back it immediately and make sure you have really high conversion rates when it comes to that launch. Now, I am super passionate about marketing and it's completely changed my life and I love it. I love my work, but that's another topic for another video. Instead, I'd like to finish off this video with one of the biggest culprits that not many creators and even organization founders are aware of when it comes to launching and can actually sink their entire crowdfunding campaign and really sour their entire experience with crowdfunding. And that is choosing the wrong type of crowdfunding platform. Now, hear me out. There are so many types of crowdfunding. If you choose the wrong one, you're gonna waste valuable time, money, and more importantly, momentum. Now, you might be scratching your chin and be like, Sal, is that really true? Well, I'm probably the best person to really share this point with you because I've written the book Nonprofit Crowdfunding Explained, Equity Crowdfunding Explained, Real Estate Crowdfunding Explained, the Kickstarter launch formula, and even crowdfunding personal expenses. I even put out education on subscription-based crowdfunding and debt crowdfunding. There are so many forms of crowdfunding, and I have seen students who maybe do a mild success on Kickstarter, like a 5-figure campaign, transition to something like a WeFunder platform, and they end up raising millions of dollars with that campaign. The platform matters, and the method of crowdfunding that you use in order to achieve your objectives matter when it comes to launching your campaign. But I'm not here just to lecture at you. I also want to invite you to learn on your own behalf. This is a learnable skill, a learnable discipline. That's why I have a free killer crowdfunding newsletter out there, which you can check out down below, and as well a free crowdfunding course with a couple of different paths there if you're interested in learning more about crowdfunding, which you can check out down below. I've also written the book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, which covers many different types of products when it comes to launching a new gadget, gizmo, design product. Could be a tabletop game, card card game, a creative endeavor, a film, a theater project, you name it. You can learn more about that in the links in the description. And as a bonus tip, I will also say to you that oftentimes when it comes to this path, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know going into something new. And that's why I also make myself available via individual one-on-one coaching calls for students that are serious, that want to move forward fast when it comes to this areas of their life. They want to do it right, dot their I's, cross their T's, going into a launch, and more specifically, get access to some of those tactics, teachings, methods, and strategies, which we maybe don't always talk about publicly, and really make this tailored for your experience going into this campaign. You can actually book an individual one-on-one coaching call with me at the link down below at crowdcrux.com/coaching, and we can get that call scheduled ASAP. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video that I put together, really demystifying some of the major mistakes that go into launching a crowdfunding campaign. If you did enjoy it, give me a thumbs up on this video. Come subscribe for more content just like this. My name is Salvador Briggman, and I'll see you next time.